Welcome to the channel. Today we will delve into a story that has recently stirred public attention. Cesar Millan, the man known as the legendary dog trainer, has been sentenced to life in prison. Is this the outcome of an unexpected investigation or a shocking incident involving someone we once trusted with training wild dogs? In today's video, we'll explore the details of what transpired and why Cesar Millan is facing such a severe prison sentence. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you stay up to date with the latest news. Cesar Millan, widely known as the Dog Whisperer, broke down in court after being sentenced to life in prison. This highly controversial trial has not only ignited public outrage, but has also raised serious questions about the fairness of the legal system. The man who once helped countless dogs deemed untrainable and repaired families torn apart by their pets' behavior is now faced with the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars, far from the animals he has spent his career helping. For more than 20 years, Millan has opened the doors to thousands of homes across the United States, offering hope to dog owners struggling to manage their pets. He has always believed that with patience, understanding, and the right methods, even the most challenging dogs can be rehabilitated. His calm demeanor, reassuring smile, and strong belief in second chances have made him a trusted figure among millions of dog lovers. Jennifer Anderson, 56, a loyal fan of Millan, attended every session of his trial to show her support. She shared that her mother, who suffers from Alzheimer's and often forgets everything, would always recognize Millan's soothing voice whenever his show aired. Watching him work with dogs not only brought her mother a sense of peace, but also provided rare moments of clarity amidst the confusion of the illness. Anderson tearfully expressed the deep hurt she felt seeing Millan treated in this way, especially after all the good he had done. The case began nearly a year ago when federal agencies launched an investigation into Millan's training facilities after receiving anonymous tips about his methods. Initially, the probe was focused on administrative concerns, but it grew broader when authorities uncovered financial misconduct in his international operations. Prosecutors accused him of being involved in a complex scheme that included the illegal importation of wild animals, tax evasion, and the misappropriation of charity funds. However, the most serious charge, which led to a life sentence, was that his dog psychology center was responsible for the deaths of several dogs due to severe injuries. Prosecutors described his training methods as cruel and dangerous. Despite the allegations, Millan stood firm, arguing that the animals had serious health issues and that most were already slated for euthanasia before he took them in. If you find this story fascinating and want to stay updated on the latest developments, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted whenever a new video is released. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share your opinions in the comments section below. Your perspectives are always welcome. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a veterinarian working with Millan's organization, provided evidence that these dogs had endured horrific abuse, starvation, and had been part of dog fighting rings. Many of them had suffered severe injuries and had gone without treatment for years. Millan was fully aware of the risks involved in taking them in, but he couldn't turn his back on them, knowing that without his help, they would be abandoned and have no chance of survival. One of the most emotional testimonies at the trial came from Sarah Thompson, 58, an elementary school teacher from Colorado, as she shared how Millan saved her family's dog, Bear. Bear had been Emma's emotional support dog after her husband tragically passed away in a car accident. However, as Bear grew older, he became increasingly aggressive, attacking strangers and other dogs. The family tried everything, from professional training to tranquilizer medication, but nothing seemed to help. After Bear attacked a delivery person, the Animal Control Agency issued an ultimatum: improve Bear's behavior or the dog would be euthanized. Emma Thompson, already devastated by the loss of her husband, couldn't bear the thought of losing Bear as well. In desperation, she sent a letter to Millan's show, never expecting a response. To her surprise, a miracle happened. Millan agreed to help and came to their home on a chilly fall morning. But what happened next was a moment that would never be shown on television. Yet it completely changed everything. Millan worked with Bear for about an hour, and then the atmosphere suddenly grew eerily quiet. Thompson recalled that Millan noticed signs of carbon monoxide poisoning in the house when people started experiencing headaches, and Bear became unusually aggressive. With his calm and professional demeanor, Millan suggested opening the windows for ventilation, but then discreetly pulled Thompson aside to explain that Bear's aggression might be linked to the toxic gas. While maintaining the appearance of a normal training session, Millan directed a team member to call emergency services. Within 20 minutes, firefighters arrived and discovered that the family's heating system was leaking a life-threatening amount of carbon monoxide. The sheriff later confirmed that the family might not have survived the night had Millan not stepped in. Thompson emotionally shared that Millan wasn't seeking recognition or attention. He simply acted quietly and effectively to protect her family. After the toxic gas was removed, Bear's aggression diminished significantly. Under Millan's guidance, Bear was trained to become a therapy dog, helping children with mental health challenges. "He didn't just save our dog, he saved my family," Thompson said, her voice filled with gratitude. The most powerful moment in court came from Gloria Sanchez, who shared how Millan changed her son David's life. As a child, David had been attacked by a dog, which resulted in a severe fear of animals that led to social isolation and depression. One night, while watching Millan's show, David expressed a desire to understand dogs. The family reached out to Millan's center, not expecting any response, but Millan surprised them by inviting them to his farm. He spent a week working with David, helping him overcome his fear. Millan told David, "Fear is not respect, and respect is not fear. Once you understand that, you will no longer be afraid." Today, David works as a veterinary technician and helps children with PTSD through animal therapy. Gloria Sanchez explained that Millan never asked for a penny. Just witnessing her son overcome his fear was more than enough for him. Angela Martinez, a single mother, also shared how Millan helped her son, Miguel. After being abandoned by his father, Miguel fell into a spiral of anger, befriended the wrong crowd, and became increasingly hostile towards the world. The family dog, Rex, began mimicking Miguel's aggression, even threatening the neighbors. Desperate for help, Martinez reached out to Millan. Not only did Millan work with Rex, but he also made a profound impact on Miguel with his patience and understanding. Millan taught Miguel about responsibility, compassion, and how to manage his emotions. Since then, both Miguel and Rex have undergone remarkable transformations. Miguel returned to school, and Rex became the loyal, well-behaved family dog. These stories highlight that Millan is not just an expert in dog training, but someone who has profoundly impacted the lives of many families in unexpected ways. One such example is when Animal Control gave Millan an ultimatum to improve Rex's behavior, or the dog would be euthanized. In desperation, Miguel learned that Cesar Millan was hosting a weekend seminar in their city. Although he couldn't afford a ticket, he stood outside the venue for hours, hoping to meet his hero. As Millan was leaving, he spotted Miguel and asked why he wasn't inside. After Miguel explained the situation with Rex, Millan did something extraordinary. Not only did he invite Miguel in to attend the seminar for free, but he also offered to come to their home on Sunday afternoon to help. That day marked a turning point for Miguel and his family. Millan spent hours not only working with Rex, but also having meaningful conversations with Miguel about discipline, responsibility, and the power of positive energy. Miguel's father, Martinez, watched in awe as his son, who had previously been withdrawn and angry, listened intently for the first time. The most significant moment came when Millan pointed out that Rex's behavior was a reflection of Miguel's emotions. "My dog reflects my energy," Millan explained. "When I'm angry at the world, he feels the need to protect me. When I'm calm, he relaxes." With the new techniques Millan shared, Rex's behavior improved dramatically, and Martinez witnessed a similar transformation in Miguel, who began to embrace a more peaceful and balanced mindset. Miguel began waking up early to exercise, incorporating the healthy habits Millan had taught him into his daily routine. He returned to school, improved his grades, and gradually distanced himself from negative influences. Impressed by Miguel's dedication, Millan offered him a summer job at his dog psychology center after he graduated high school. This opportunity opened up a new path for Miguel. 10 years later, he runs a rehabilitation program for abandoned dogs and helps children who have faced similar hardships. His work has had a transformative impact on the lives of many families in the community. Martinez affirms that Cesar Millan's influence goes far beyond dog training. It has helped people, like his son, find new direction and purpose in their lives. In February 2019, during a severe snowstorm, Winters was watching Cesar Millan's show when the power suddenly went out. As night fell and the temperature dropped to dangerously low levels, she realized that her generator wasn't working due to the heavy snowfall. When she went outside to assess the situation, she discovered a car had slid off the road on the long, remote path leading to her house. What Winters didn't expect to find was that the car belonged to Cesar Millan, who had accidentally taken the wrong route while in the area for a lecture. After helping Winters back to her house amid the snowstorm, Millan quickly realized she was showing signs of hypothermia. With no electricity, no communication, and the temperature continuing to drop, he immediately took charge, relying on his childhood survival experience. Millan made a crucial decision: to get Winters and the dogs into the shed to build a fire. Winters describes the following hours as a survival lesson. Millan gathered materials, constructed a shelter out of straw, and worked tirelessly to keep the fire burning throughout the night. Despite the harsh conditions, he arranged for the dogs to lie close to Winters to help keep her warm, and kept talking to her to maintain her alertness. He told me about his childhood in Mexico, about crossing the border with nothing, about his dreams and failures, Winters recalls. "I think he purposely kept me awake because he knew that falling asleep while hypothermic could be very dangerous." As dawn broke, Millan ventured outside into the freezing conditions. After nearly 2 hours of walking, he found a spot with cell service and called for help. When medical personnel arrived, they immediately recognized the severity of Winters' condition. They told her that without the warmth from the dogs and the small fire, she wouldn't have survived the night. "Younger and healthier people than me have died in less harsh conditions," she recalls. What's truly noteworthy is that Millan never publicly spoke about the incident. It only became known when Winters' daughter happened to recognize him on TV and reached out to his legal team. When asked about the event, Millan recalled just one detail. She was the woman with 3 beautiful dogs. This speaks volumes about his perspective on life. He didn't view what he did as extraordinary or deserving of praise. He simply did what was necessary to save a stranger and her dogs. Despite dozens of emotional testimonies about Millan's kindness and dedication, the final verdict in court was not in his favor. When the judge read the sentence, the atmosphere in the courtroom was filled with shock. Millan, who had remained composed throughout the trial, finally broke down during his closing statement. Tearfully, he said, "I just wanted to help. I wanted to save the dogs that others had abandoned. I wanted to teach people that with patience and the right guidance, any relationship can be healed." Before he was led away, Millan sent a message to his supporters. Take care of the dogs, feed them so they don't have to work for it, treat them right so they can live a happy life. Never give up on your principles. Calmness, determination, and balance are always the key, not just with dogs, but with life itself. In the courtroom, many were moved to tears, including some members of the jury. Outside the courthouse, hundreds of supporters and their dogs gathered, holding signs that read, "Who will help the desperate dogs now?" and "Cesar saved my family." For many, he was not just an exceptional dog trainer, but also an inspiration for patience, perseverance, and unconditional love. His impact extended far beyond the animals he helped. He had touched the lives of countless families and individuals, teaching them the power of empathy and the importance of understanding. Patricia Williams, 67, a grandmother of 5, shared that it was Cesar Millan who helped transform her overactive rescue dog into a calm and loving companion. "He taught me how to set boundaries with love, stay calm in crisis situations, and understand how our energy affects those around us. I've even applied these principles with my grandchildren, and it's made me a better grandmother," Williams explained. She is one of thousands who sent letters of support to Cesar during his imprisonment and contributed to his legal fund to help with his appeal. "He gave so many people hope when they were about to give up on their dogs. We're not giving up on him now," said Elizabeth Morgan, 59. She traveled from Seattle to attend the trial with her service dog, a German Shepherd who had once been aggressive but had been retrained through Cesar's methods, helping her stay calm throughout the emotional trial. "Before meeting Cesar, I could hardly leave the house because of PTSD," Morgan recalled, gently stroking her dog's head. "He was scheduled to be euthanized because of his aggressive behavior, but a trainer used Cesar's methods to give him one last chance. Now he helps me recognize panic attacks early, supports me when I go out, and has helped me regain my life." Thousands of dogs like Max and their owners like Morgan have found a second chance thanks to Cesar Millan's work. His methods have not only transformed the lives of countless dogs, but also provided healing and hope to individuals facing emotional and psychological challenges, showing the profound bond between people and their animals. Despite the harsh sentence, Millan's legal team remains optimistic about the appeal process. They highlighted several procedural errors during the trial and argued that they have a strong case to challenge both the verdict and its severity. A life sentence for nonviolent crimes related to his training methods is unprecedented and entirely disproportionate, lead attorney Rebecca Martinez said. "We strongly believe in his innocence, especially regarding the most serious charges, and we are confident that the appellate court will address the important legal issues in this case. The team is determined to fight for Millan's justice, believing that the appeal could potentially overturn the verdict or lead to a reduced sentence." In a heartfelt letter shared by his family, Cesar expressed his gratitude to those who have supported him and reaffirmed his lifelong commitment to his mission. "My body may be confined, but my spirit remains fully dedicated to creating balance and harmony between humans and dogs. Every day I receive hundreds of letters about lives that have been changed and dogs that have been saved thanks to the principles I am fortunate to share. These stories continue to inspire me to pursue my mission of restoration and providing second chances. Our work is not just about training dogs, but about expanding hearts, minds, and homes to welcome creatures who need us. This work must continue, whether I am here or not, because there are millions of dogs out there. His words echo his unwavering dedication to his cause and his deep belief in the power of empathy, patience, and understanding in fostering relationships between humans and animals. Those whose lives have been transformed by Cesar Millan's compassionate methods are committed to continuing the values he taught and fighting for justice. If you have been touched by his work, now is the time to stand up and speak out. Visit Stand with Cara on social media with the hashtag #StandWithCesar. Together, we can show the world the immense impact of his work and hope to bring him back to his true calling, helping dogs in need and the families who love them. By rallying behind him, we can ensure that Cesar's legacy of healing and transformation continues to make a difference for both humans and animals alike. Thank you all for taking the time to watch today's video. Each story brings valuable lessons and helps us view life from a different perspective. While there may still be many unknowns, the truth always has a way of coming to light. Stay with us to stay updated on more fascinating and surprising information. Don't forget to share this video if you found it helpful, and make sure you don't miss any future stories. See you in the next video. Hello everyone! In today's video, we will explore the shocking story of Cesar Millan, the famous dog trainer, being sentenced to life in prison. Let's take a look at the emotional moments and the truth behind this sentence. Cesar Millan, the famous dog trainer, couldn't hold back his emotions and broke down in tears when sentenced to life in prison. In this video, we will learn about the shocking and emotional details of the trial, as well as the impact this ruling may have on him and those he has helped. If Cesar Millan's story has touched your heart, don't forget to share this video and leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's spread the message of fairness and continue supporting Cesar's efforts in changing the lives of dogs and their families. Cesar Millan, the famous dog behavior expert known to millions as the Dog Whisperer, broke down in tears after being sentenced to life in prison in a controversial trial that raised questions about whether justice was truly served. The man who rehabilitated countless dogs deemed impossible to train and saved families struggling with behavioral problems of their pets now faces spending the rest of his life in prison. Separated from the dogs he has dedicated his life to helping, and from the millions of people whose lives he has touched through his compassionate work for over 2 decades. Millan invited us into homes across America, showing families on the brink of despair with their beloved pets that there was still hope. With patience, understanding, and the right guidance, even the most troubled dogs could be rehabilitated. His gentle treatment of animals, comforting smile, and firm belief in second chances made him a trusted companion for dog lovers everywhere. My mother watched Cesar all the time, said Jennifer Anderson, 56, who attended the trial every day to support Millan. When my mother had Alzheimer's, she forgot many things, but she always recognized Cesar when his show aired. His calm voice made her feel at ease, and watching him work with dogs gave her moments of clarity and joy during very dark times. It is heartbreaking to see him treated this way after all the good he has done. The case against Millan began nearly a year ago when federal authorities launched an investigation into his training facilities after anonymous complaints about his training methods. What started as a routine investigation quickly became a much larger case when investigators claimed to have uncovered financial misconduct related to Millan's international operations and charity funds. Prosecutors alleged that Millan had been involved in a complex scheme involving the illegal importation of wildlife for training demonstrations, tax evasion related to his international businesses, and abuse of charity funds designated for relief efforts. They painted a picture of a celebrity who exploited his fame to operate outside the law. The most serious accusation, which ultimately led to a life sentence, was related to claims that Millan's Dog Psychology Center inadvertently caused the deaths of several dogs who suffered severe injuries through training methods that prosecutors deemed inhumane and dangerous. Throughout the trial, Millan maintained his innocence, arguing that these deaths were due to pre-existing health conditions in the animals, which had already been severely injured. These dogs had been scheduled for euthanasia before his center agreed to take them in as a last resort case for rehabilitation. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a veterinarian who worked with Millan's foundation, testified they had been severely abused, starved, used in dogfighting, and many had injuries and long-standing health issues that went untreated for years. Cesar was their last hope, and he took them in knowing the risks because he couldn't bear to see a dog abandoned without trying to help. One of the most touching testimonies in the trial, though largely ignored by mainstream media, was the extraordinary story of how Cesar Millan saved an entire family in a situation that began as a routine training session. Sarah Thompson, a 58-year-old elementary school teacher from Colorado, tearfully took the stand as she recalled the events of October 2018. A day that began with a final attempt to save her daughter's troubled Rottweiler mix and ended with Millan saving her entire family from an unimaginable tragedy. We adopted Bear as a puppy for my daughter Emma, who was struggling with depression after losing her husband in a car accident, Thompson explained, her voice almost a whisper. Bear became her emotional support, the reason she got up every morning. But as he grew older, he developed severe aggression towards strangers and other dogs. Our family consulted numerous trainers, veterinary behaviorists, and even considered using medication. But Bear's sudden aggression continued to escalate. After he attacked a delivery person, Animal Control issued a final warning. If we didn't handle this behavior, the dog would be euthanized. Emma was devastated, Thompson continued. She had lost her husband, and the thought of losing Bear was unbearable. In desperation, I wrote a letter to Cesar's show, not expecting a reply. When his team called and said he would take us on an upcoming episode, it felt like a miracle. Millan came to their home one fall morning. What the audience didn't see was his sharp observational skills going beyond just dog training. After working with Bear for about an hour, Millan suddenly became very quiet. He asked her daughter if she had been having headaches recently and if the house felt too hot. Emma answered yes. Everyone in the house had been getting headaches, but they thought it was just stress from Bear. Millan then realized that the cause was carbon monoxide in the house. He helped the family get out safely and called emergency services. Firefighters later discovered dangerously high levels of the toxic gas. Had it not been for Millan, the family could have been in serious danger. Cesar Millan has changed the lives of millions of dogs and families. Let's come together, support his appeal, and continue his mission. Share the story, spread love, and hope. Millan then asked if he could open the windows to let fresh air circulate in the house, and then quietly pulled Thompson aside. He told me he recognized the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. Our confused answers, the headaches, the flushed appearance of my grandchildren, Thompson explained, her voice choked with emotion. He said Bear's aggression had worsened recently, not because of behavioral problems, but because dogs are very sensitive to carbon monoxide, and Bear was trying to get the family out of the house while still maintaining the appearance of a normal training session. Millan quietly directed a team member to call emergency services. He then suggested that the whole family and Bear continue the training in the backyard to get everyone out safely. Within 20 minutes, the fire trucks arrived, and technicians found a serious issue with our heating system, causing carbon monoxide to leak throughout the house. Thompson said that later, the fire chief told us that the level of gas was life-threatening, and we probably wouldn't have survived the night if it hadn't been detected in time. When the defense attorney asked how she knew Millan had recognized the danger, Thompson's answer was clear. The emergency responders asked who recognized the symptoms, and Cesar simply said he had seen this situation before in another house with a dog suddenly becoming aggressive. He had followed up on our health and recovery for several months afterward, not concerning himself with Bear's training, but with our health. Bear, no longer affected by the toxic gas, showed a significant decrease in aggression under Millan's guidance. Any remaining issues were addressed through proper training. Today, Bear works as a therapy dog at the school where Thompson teaches, helping children with reading difficulties and emotional challenges. Cesar Millan didn't just save our dog that day. He saved my daughter, my grandchildren, and me, Thompson concluded, looking directly at the jury. The man you're considering sending to life in prison is the one who recognized a dangerous situation that many doctors overlooked during regular health checks. He acted quietly and calmly, without drawing attention or seeking recognition. That is the true measure of who Cesar Millan is. Perhaps the most powerful moment in the trial came from Gloria Sanchez, a 62-year-old kindergarten teacher and mother of 3, who claimed Millan saved her son's life. Her testimony brought many in the courtroom to tears, including Millan. "My son David was attacked by a neighbor's dog when he was just 4 years old," she explained, her voice trembling with emotion. "The injuries were so severe that they developed into a serious phobia of all dogs. He couldn't go to the park, visit friends with dogs, or even walk to school if there was a dog on the street. The phobia started affecting David's development, leading to social isolation and eventually severe anxiety and depression. By the time he reached his teenage years, traditional therapy had almost no effect, and our family was losing hope." We were watching Cesar's show one night, and something about the way he gently interacted with fearful dogs caught David's attention, Sanchez continued. For the first time, he showed interest in understanding dogs instead of just fearing them. They reached out to Cesar's center, not expecting to actually meet him. However, they were surprised when Millan personally responded and invited them to his farm. He spent the entire weekend working with David, slowly introducing him to calm, balanced dogs and teaching him how to understand dog behavior. "Cesar told my son something I'll never forget. He said, 'Fear is not respect, and respect is not fear. When you understand this difference, you will no longer be afraid,'" Sanchez recalled, wiping away tears. "He didn't take a single penny when we tried to pay him. He said seeing David overcome his fear was reward enough." Today, David Sanchez works as a veterinary technician and volunteers in animal therapy programs to help children overcome PTSD. He credits Millan not only for helping him overcome his fear, but also for helping him find his life's purpose. "That is the real Cesar Millan," Gloria Sanchez concluded, looking directly at the jury. "A man who changed my son's life forever, who spent countless hours helping a child he had never met. Because that's the kind of person he is, Someone who helps when he can, in any way he can. Please don't take him away from all the families who still need him. The influence of Cesar Millan goes far beyond dog training, as demonstrated by the testimony of Angela Martinez, a 54-year-old single mother, who described how Millan not only rehabilitated her family's aggressive German Shepherd, but ultimately saved her son from a destructive path. "My son Miguel, 16 years old when the problems began," Martinez explained to the silent courtroom. "His father had left us years ago, and Miguel was very angry with the world. He started skipping school and hanging out with friends connected to gangs. Our close relationship broke down into arguments and slammed doors. During this difficult time, our German Shepherd, Rex, started reflecting Miguel's aggressive behavior, becoming increasingly territorial and frightening to visitors. After Rex attacked a neighborhood child, the animal control gave us an ultimatum: handle the dog's behavior or surrender it to be put down. By a stroke of luck, they found out Millan was holding a weekend seminar in their city. Although they couldn't afford the ticket, Miguel stood outside the venue for hours hoping to see his new idol. What happened next showed the true nature of the person you're considering sending to jail, Martinez told the jury, her voice resolute. Cesar saw Miguel as he was leaving. Instead of just signing an autograph and walking away, he asked why Miguel wasn't inside. When my son explained our situation with Rex and admitted that we couldn't afford the seminar, Cesar did something extraordinary. Millan not only invited Miguel to join the seminar for free, but after hearing our entire story, he offered to visit our home later to work with Rex personally. That Sunday afternoon changed everything, Martinez continued. Cesar spent hours with us, not just training Rex, but also talking to Miguel about discipline, how to adjust positive energy, and taking responsibility. I saw my son, an angry and withdrawn child, listen to every word from a man who had built a life from nothing, helping others. The most powerful moment came when Millan connected Miguel's behavior with Rex's aggression. Your dog mirrors your energy, he told Miguel. When you're angry, it feels the need to protect you. When you're calm, it relaxes. As Rex's behavior improved under Millan's guidance, Martinez noticed a shift in her son. Miguel started exercising with Rex on Millan's schedule, returned to school, and improved his grades, distancing himself from negative influences. Impressed by Miguel's progress, Millan offered him a summer job at his dog psychology center. After graduating, Miguel continued this work, and 10 years later, he ran a rehabilitation program for abandoned dogs, many of which worked with at-risk youth. Miguel's work impacted dozens of families in the community. Martinez said the ripple effect of the positive change is the true measure of Cesar Millan's influence. He didn't just rehabilitate dogs, he rehabilitated people, she said. Perhaps the most remarkable testimony came near the end of the trial when the defense called Martha Winters, a 72-year-old mother from rural Tennessee who traveled across the country despite health issues to share a previously untold story. I live alone in a small house on 20 acres in the Smoky Mountains, she began. After my husband passed away, my children wanted me to move to the city, but I couldn't leave our land. My only companions were my 3 rescue dogs, Bella, Max, and Cooper. In February 2019, Winters was watching a marathon of Cesar Millan's show during a snowstorm when the power went out. As night fell and the temperature dropped to dangerous levels, she realized her generator wasn't working. In the heavy snow, she saw a car skid off the road leading to her house. What Winters didn't know was that inside the car was none other than Cesar Millan, who had been on his way to a seminar in the area and had taken a wrong turn during the snowstorm. After struggling through the snow to help Winters, Millan realized signs of hypothermia starting to affect her, and immediately took control of the situation. With no electricity or communication, he made the critical decision to move them to the livestock shed where they could start a fire. What followed was what Winters describes as a masterclass in crisis management. Millan gathered supplies, created a shelter out of hay, and lit a fire. Despite the harsh conditions through the night, as the temperature dropped to dangerous levels, he maintained the fire and placed the dogs around Winters to provide warmth. "He talked to me all night," Winters recalled, wiping away tears. "He told me stories of his childhood in Mexico, of crossing the border with nothing, of his dreams and disappointments. I think he was trying to keep me awake to prevent me from sleeping because when you're hypothermic, sleeping can be very dangerous." When dawn broke, Millan went outside and after nearly 2 hours, found a place with phone signal to call for help. Emergency services arrived soon after, and medical staff immediately attended to Winters. The medical staff later told me that if it weren't for the warmth from the dogs and the small fire, I wouldn't have survived the night, she said. They said many younger, healthier people have died under less severe conditions, but Cesar refused any recognition. He just said he had learned survival skills as a child in Mexico and that the real heroes were the dogs. The thing that makes this story even more remarkable is that Millan never publicly mentioned this incident. It only became known when Winters' daughter recognized him in a news story about the trial and contacted his legal team. When they asked him about it, he couldn't even remember my name, Winters said with a slight smile. He just said, "The woman with the 3 beautiful dogs." That's the measure of a man. He didn't think what he did was extraordinary or deserved to be made public. He just did what needed to be done to save a stranger's life and her dogs. Although there were many heartfelt testimonies from dozens of similar witnesses, in the end, the jury found him guilty of the most serious charges. When Judge Raymond Morris sentenced him to life in prison, a collective sigh echoed in the courtroom. Millan, who had remained calm throughout most of the trial, finally broke down. Witnesses described how the normally composed dog behavior expert appeared physically slumped when hearing the judge's verdict. "I just wanted to help," Millan said through tears in his final statement. "Create balance, save the dogs that others had given up on. Teach people that with patience and proper leadership, relationships can be healed. If I failed or made mistakes in this process, I take responsibility for those specific actions, but my heart has always been in the right place." As security officers prepared to escort him out, Millan made an emotional plea directly to his supporters. "Take care of the dogs. Dogs in America are fed without having to work for food, so dogs will be praised with everything. Don't abandon the principles of calm, assertive energy. Balance is still the key for dogs and for life. This work must continue, even if I can't lead it anymore." Many in the courtroom, including some jurors, were in tears as Millan was led away. Outside the courthouse, hundreds of supporters gathered with their dogs, many holding signs reading, "Who will help the dogs that cannot help themselves?" and "Cesar saved my family." The sentence hit particularly hard for mothers and grandmothers who saw in Millan not just a dog trainer, but a source of wisdom on patience, consistency, and leadership, values that applied to their entire families. "Cesar didn't just teach me about dogs," explained Patricia Williams, 67, a grandmother of 5, who said Millan had transformed her rescue dog or response dog into a gentle companion. "He taught me how to set boundaries with love, how to stay calm in a crisis, about how energy affects everyone around you. I've applied his principles with my grandkids, and that has made me a better grandmother." Williams was one of thousands of supporters who wrote to Millan in prison and contributed to his legal defense fund for his appeal. He brought hope to so many of us when we were ready to give up on our troubled dogs. "We will not give up on him now," said Elizabeth Morgan, 59, who traveled from Seattle to attend the sentencing. Her service dog, a previously aggressive German Shepherd, had been rehabilitated using Millan's methods and stood calmly beside her during the emotionally charged trial. "Before Max came into my life, I had to stay home because of PTSD," Morgan said softly, stroking her dog's head. "He was slated for euthanasia due to his aggression, when a trainer using Cesar's methods gave him a final chance. Now, he alerts me before I'm hit with a panic attack, helps me navigate public spaces, and has brought life back to me." There are thousands of dogs like Max, and thousands of people like me, who owe their second chance to Cesar's work. While the life sentence was a shock, Millan's legal team remains cautiously optimistic about the appeal process. They pointed out several procedural issues in the trial that they believe will provide a strong basis to challenge both the conviction and the severity of the sentence. "A life sentence for non-violent offenses related to training methods is unprecedented and disproportionate," said lead attorney Rebecca Martinez. "We strongly believe in Mr. Millan's innocence, especially concerning the most serious charges, and we are confident the appellate court will recognize important legal issues in how this case was prosecuted." In a moving letter shared by his family, Millan expressed his gratitude to his supporters and commitment to continue his life's mission, even while in prison. "My body may be confined, but my spirit remains dedicated to creating balance and harmony between people and dogs. Every day I receive hundreds of letters describing lives changed and dogs saved, thanks to the principles I've been fortunate enough to share. These stories fuel me. Please continue the mission of restoration and second chances. Our work is always not just about dog training, but about opening hearts, minds, and homes to animals who need us. That work must continue, whether or not I am there. For the millions of dog owners whose lives have changed because of Cesar Millan's compassionate methods, that work will continue." Cesar Millan is not just a dog trainer, but someone who has changed the lives of millions of families. Despite facing tremendous challenges, he remains resilient and continues to inspire. Let's support him for justice and for the dogs he's helped save. Thank you for listening and standing with us. Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, is renowned for his unique ability to train even the most difficult dogs and turn them into loyal companions. However, few know that behind his fame lies a life filled with personal struggles and challenges. Recently, Cesar faced a huge shock in his life that left him unable to control his emotions. Let's dive into this shocking story about Cesar Millan and find out why he fell before an unpredictable challenge. Beloved and admired by millions, Cesar is not just a talented dog trainer, but also a strong man who has overcome personal struggles. However, life hasn't always been easy, and recent devastating news has left him shattered. Join me as we uncover the untold secrets and see how Cesar Millan's life has changed after this shock. If you want to learn more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for the next video. Cesar Millan, the globally renowned dog trainer, shocked the courtroom when he collapsed after hearing the verdict. This moment left many stunned, and some even in tears. News from the Los Angeles court quickly spread across the United States overnight, sending shockwaves through public opinion. Everyone knew Millan as a beloved dog trainer with millions of fans, but now, his career and reputation face the biggest challenge of his life. Can someone once considered a master in his field overcome this storm? Millan, the man loved by millions, was brought to tears as he heard the final verdict in a highly controversial trial. This moment left everyone in the courtroom silent, while outside, the public buzzed with countless questions about justice and truth. Once, Millan was a beacon of hope for desperate families seeking to control their pets. He saved countless dogs considered untrainable, bringing joy and reunification to many families. He not only changed the lives of the dogs, but also touched the hearts of millions of animal lovers around the world. Millan has helped countless dogs, but his journey has not always been smooth. The investigation began nearly a year ago when authorities started reviewing complaints about his training methods at the center. Initially, it was just a routine inspection, but as allegations of financial and international connections grew more complex, the case took a turn for the worse. Millan has firmly maintained his innocence, insisting that all the dogs at the center were cared for to the highest standards. He has never done anything to harm the animals he has dedicated his life to protecting. According to him, every unfortunate incident was related to dogs that had severe health issues and were scheduled for euthanasia before arriving at the center. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a veterinarian working with the Millan Foundation, gave shocking testimony in court. She revealed that the dogs taken in by Millan had suffered under harsh conditions, being starved, abused, and even forced to fight in bloody rings. Many were injured, both physically and mentally, with their wounds left untreated. However, for Millan, these dogs were not hopeless creatures. They were lives deserving of a second chance. He took on the most difficult cases, knowing the risks, simply because he could never turn his back on these unfortunate beings. Amid the numerous accusations aimed at Millan, one touching story was overlooked. Sarah Thompson, a 58-year-old elementary school teacher from Colorado, took the stand with tears streaming down her face. She recounted a pivotal moment in October 2018 when she turned to Millan for one last attempt to save her daughter's aggressive Rottweiler mix. The dog, named Bear, had been adopted as a puppy and became Emma's only companion after the tragic loss of her father in a car accident. Bear was Emma's emotional anchor, the reason she had the strength to keep going. As Bear grew older, the dog began to show unusual aggressive behavior, attacking strangers and other dogs. The family sought help from professional trainers, even considering medication, but Bear's condition didn't improve. Things reached a breaking point when Bear lunged at a delivery person, prompting animal control to intervene. The Thompson family faced an agonizing choice: address Bear's behavioral issues or accept euthanasia. Emma was heartbroken, but with Millan's help, a miraculous turnaround occurred. Mrs. Thompson was facing the heartbreaking possibility of losing her closest companion, Bear. In desperation, she wrote a letter to Cesar Millan's show, unsure if she would ever get a response. But instead of a rejection, Millan's team called, informing her that they would be filming a special episode at her home on a fall morning. Millan arrived at the Thompson family's mountain house, and within the first hour, he closely observed Bear, studying every behavior. Suddenly, Millan silently looked at Emma and asked, "Have you been getting headaches lately?" The unexpected question left the Thompsons stunned. Millan continued, "Is the house warmer than usual?" When Emma responded that they thought it was due to stress, Millan nodded slightly and suggested they open the windows for ventilation. Then he pulled Mrs. Thompson aside and whispered, "I think your family is being poisoned by carbon monoxide." At first, Mrs. Thompson couldn't believe what she was hearing. But when Millan explained that symptoms like headaches, drowsiness, flushed faces, and Bear's behavioral changes could be signs of carbon monoxide poisoning, she began to worry. Millan quickly instructed a team member to call emergency services, but he continued training Bear, keeping up the appearance of a regular session. Soon after, firefighters arrived, and the test results left the Thompson family horrified. They discovered a major fault in the heating system, causing a dangerous carbon monoxide leak. One firefighter warned them that if they had stayed in the house for another night, no one would have woken up the next morning. When asked who first recognized the danger, Mrs. Thompson replied confidently, "Cesar was the one who noticed it." Millan didn't just stop at warning about the toxic gas. He continued to monitor the health of the Thompson family for months afterward. He wanted to ensure that they recovered fully and that Bear could adapt to his new life, no longer affected by the carbon monoxide. Bear's aggressive behavior significantly decreased under Millan's careful guidance. The once ferocious dog transformed and became a therapy dog at Thompson's school, helping children struggling with reading and emotional processing. Mrs. Thompson, choking on her tears as she stood before the jury, said, "Cesar Millan didn't just save Bear. He saved my daughter, my granddaughter, and me. The man you are considering sending to prison is the one who noticed the danger that even the doctors missed." One of the most touching moments in the trial came from Gloria Sanchez, a 62-year-old kindergarten teacher and mother of 3. She recounted how Millan saved her son David, a happy boy, until he was attacked by a neighbor's dog at the age of 4. The physical wounds healed, but the fear of dogs deeply ingrained itself in David's mind. He couldn't go to the park, visit friends who had dogs, and was terrified whenever he saw a dog on the street. This fear caused David to become increasingly isolated, leading to severe depression. The family tried many therapeutic methods, but none helped David regain his joy for life. One night, while watching Cesar Millan's show, David was drawn to Millan's patience and gentleness in interacting with the dogs. This was the first time in years that David showed any interest in dogs. Gloria decided to reach out to Millan's training center, not expecting much, but a miracle happened. Cesar Millan personally called and invited David to spend a week at his farm. Millan took the time to gradually introduce David to friendly, gentle dogs with no rush or pressure. Slowly, David began to overcome his fear and stepped into the world of four-legged friends in a way no one had ever been able to do before. One afternoon, Millan sat down next to David and said something the boy would never forget. "Fear is not respect, and respect is not fear. Once you understand the difference, you won't fear anymore." Those words changed David's life forever. He walked into the farm with a heart heavy with fear, but when he walked out, he had found passion and purpose. Today, David Sanchez has not only overcome his childhood trauma, but has become a veterinary technician, dedicating himself to helping other children with trauma through animal therapy. He continues to carry forward the good that Cesar Millan gifted him. When standing before the jury, Gloria Sanchez concluded her testimony with a deeply emotional message. "Cesar Millan not only helped my son overcome his fears, but also gave him a new life, a future we thought we'd never have. Please don't take him away. There are so many families like ours that need him." The courtroom fell silent, filled with emotion. Millan's story was no longer just about a dog trainer, but about a man who dedicated his life to helping both people and animals find light in the darkness. Cesar Millan doesn't just change the behavior of animals. He also helps people find their way back to the right path in life. The emotional testimony of Angela Martinez, a 54-year-old single mother, is the strongest evidence of this. She shared how Millan saved her son, Miguel, from a dark path. When Miguel turned 16, his father abandoned the family, and the anger consumed him. He started skipping school, joined a gang, and drifted away from his family. The family's German Shepherd Rex also became increasingly aggressive, attacking others. The family was given an ultimatum: improve Rex's behavior or surrender him to euthanasia. When Miguel learned that the cost of attending Millan's seminar was beyond his family's means, he decided to stand outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of the man he saw as his last hope. What happened next changed everything. Millan noticed Miguel, and instead of simply signing autographs, he stopped, looked Miguel directly in the eye, and asked, "Why aren't you inside?" When Miguel admitted that his family couldn't afford the tickets, Millan did something extraordinary. He invited Miguel to attend the seminar for free, and after hearing the full story, he offered to come to their home the next day to help with Rex. On a fateful Sunday afternoon, Millan not only worked with Rex but also spent hours talking to Miguel about responsibility, discipline, and the importance of positive energy. Martinez recalls the moment when she saw her son, once